I see we're just past 5 o'clock now, so I'm going to call to order this application for to amend the childcare business license for Wise Beans Child Care Center at 2439 Burton Place. This is the second night of this. Officially, it's the first night of this. So we unfortunately had an instance where the notice didn't go out to all affected parties in a timely manner, and so we've decided to restart the process, but not entirely. So that means that any of the feedback that was provided in the first night is going to be included in this. So it doesn't wipe the slate clean. We're going to add to that where if you gave your feedback on the first night, don't worry about it. It's going to be included. Having said that, we're going to treat it as though it's a first night. So if people want to speak a first, second, and third time, even if they spoke last time, they are permitted to speak their turns again here tonight. I do have a script that I'm going to go through just to lay out the evening for us. So as advertised, we're holding a public meeting to receive input from the community with respect to the issuance of a proposed childcare facility business license for Wise Beans Childcare Limited located at 2439 Burton Place. This means anyone who feels that their interest is affected by the application will be afforded the opportunity to speak. We previously held a public meeting on June 24th, 2025 for Wise Beans Childcare Limited. Notification was provided to residents within 50 meters of the childcare facility. However, notice was inadvertently not provided to the entire cul-de-sac in accordance with childcare facilities business regulations bylaw, which requires us to hold a second public meeting. If you have previously spoken at the 24th public meeting or previously made a written submission, please know that your comments will form part of the record. We are aware that there is misinformation spreading in the community. However, the district has met the statutory notice requirements for this meeting. The public meeting is being convened pursuant to section 59 of the community charter and is being held in a hybrid meeting format, meaning there's a combination of in-person and electronic participation by some or all members of council or by staff and the public. The meeting is being streamed live over the internet and recorded in accordance with the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Public participation in this meeting is being accommodated by speakers having signed up in advance as stated in the notice of meeting, as well as observers being provided the Zoom meeting information on the DNB website and in the notice of motion, in the notice of meeting. Written submissions will be received by the corporate officer on behalf of and shared with the council at any time up to the time this matter comes back to council for consideration. These may be submitted to input@dnv.org. Therefore, in this manner, all persons will be afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard and to present written submissions. The chair has established the following rules for this meeting. Following the staff and applicant presentations, we will go through the established speakers list. At the end of the speakers list, the chair may call for any other speakers not on the speakers list. Speakers will have 5 minutes to address council for the first time and are asked to begin their remarks to council by stating their name and approximate address. After everyone who wishes to speak has spoken once, speakers will then be allowed one additional 5-minute opportunity. Any additional presentations will only be allowed at the discretion of the chair. Speakers are reminded not to repeat information from previous presentations and to ensure all comments remain focused on the application under consideration this evening. If a written submission has been provided, there's no need to read it as it will have already been seen by the council. Speakers may summarize and briefly reiterate the highlights of their submission. All members of the audience are asked to be respectful of one another as diverse opinions are expressed. Council wishes to hear everyone's views in an open and impartial forum. Some important notes about public meetings. Council's here to listen to the public, not to debate the merits of the application. Council may ask clarifying questions. The corporate officer has a binder containing documents and submissions related to the application, which council has received and which you are welcome to review. This is available to view in hard copy on the table next to the door and online at dnv.org/agenda. Everyone at the meeting will be provided an opportunity to speak. If necessary, we will continue on an additional night. At this time, I'm going to call on Erica Branson to do the presentation from the staff. While Erica's getting ready, I will just say, so we obviously have myself, Councillor Hanson, and Councillor Ma joining us in person here. Joining us virtually, we do have Councillor Forbes. All other members of council, if they are not in full attendance for previous night or for this night, they need to apprise themselves of the meeting minutes and the video in order to be able to participate in the vote at the time this matter comes back for council deliberations. Ms. Branson, welcome.
My name is Erica Branson, Community Planner with the District of North Vancouver. This evening, I'll be presenting a business license application for Wise Beans Childcare Center, proposed at 2439 Burton Place in the Seymour Heights neighborhood. This is the second public meeting for the application. The first meeting was held on June 24th, 2025, and the proposal remains unchanged. My 10-slide presentation will cover key details, including the site location, licensing details, and alignment with the district's childcare planning objectives. So the public meeting provides an opportunity for residents to share feedback on the application, which proposes increasing the capacity of an existing childcare facility. Under the district's childcare facilities business regulation bylaw, applications proposing care for 11 to 20 children in a residential building must be present or must be presented at a public meeting and subsequently considered by council at a regular council meeting. In accordance with bylaw requirements, notice of this meeting was mailed at least 10 days in advance to all properties within a 50-meter radius of the facility and within the cul-de-sac. This second meeting was scheduled because during the first meeting on June the 24th, properties within the 50-meter radius were notified, but those within the cul-de-sac were inadvertently missed. The second meeting ensures full compliance with the bylaw. Feedback received at both meetings, including email correspondence, will be combined to form a complete public record for council's consideration. The applicant has operated Wise Beans Childcare Center from their home since the fall of 2023 and is currently licensed to provide group childcare for up to 8 children under 36 months. Due to community demand, including a growing waitlist and frequent inquiries, including some toddlers that are currently enrolled who could transition into the older age group spaces if additional capacity is approved, the applicant is seeking to increase capacity to 20 children. The proposed expansion includes 12 spaces for group childcare under 36 months and 8 spaces for group childcare 30 months to school age. The district has planning guidelines for group childcare in residential zones, which were last updated in 2014. These guidelines help staff to evaluate childcare proposals that seek to accommodate more than 8 children in residential settings. They outline a range of considerations, which are shown on the slide currently displayed. I'll walk through each of these considerations in relation to the Wise Beans childcare application over the next few slides. The proposed childcare facility is located in the Seymour Heights neighborhood on a cul-de-sac close to Berkeley Road. Berkeley Road is a minor arterial with no parking restrictions, typical traffic volumes, and sufficient width to accommodate parking on one or both sides. The location is well served by community amenities, including parks and trails, and close to Seymour Heights Elementary School. There are 10 licensed childcare facilities in the neighborhood that offer a total of 131 childcare spaces. With respect to transportation and parking, the planning guidelines recommend 4 parking spaces for a childcare facility serving 20 children. 2 spaces are required under the district's zoning bylaw, and this application meets the higher guideline standard, providing 2 garage spaces and 2 driveway spaces. In addition, there is on-street parking available along Berkeley Road, where families will conduct the drop-off and pickup. The photos on this slide show the northbound view of Berkeley Road and one of the entrances to the childcare facility accessed via the pedestrian pathway. The applicant has advised that there will be a maximum of 4 staff on site at any given time, including herself. District staff are confident that parking at the site is sufficient based on the following factors. The application meets the zoning bylaw requirements. Street parking is available nearby on Berkeley Road. Bus stops are located within walking distance for staff and families that use public transportation. There are no known conflicts with nearby community amenities during the drop-off and pickup times, and staggered pickup and drop-off times will help to minimize traffic congestion. This slide shows a view of the home from Burton Place, located at the end of the cul-de-sac. The site has one adjacent neighbor to the north and a pedestrian pathway along the opposite side. The home and the yard are consistent with the surrounding neighborhood, which is made up of single-family dwellings. The property is well screened with a 6-foot fence and perimeter shrubbery. There are mature trees and existing landscaping that provide natural buffering, helping to reduce noise and enhance the privacy for neighbors. In terms of the facility design, the childcare program operates on the ground floor of this 2-story home. The applicant proposes to add 8 spaces for children 30 months to school age and to increase the infant toddler spaces to 12. Renovations are planned for the summer, subject to council approval, to create separate areas for each of the age groups. The indoor space includes large windows that provide natural light and ventilation, and the property will feature 2 outdoor play areas. The image on the slide here shows the space that would be intended for the preschoolers. Outdoor areas are enclosed with a retaining wall, landscape garden, and a 6-foot perimeter fence. The outdoor space meets the requirements for the proposed number of children. Letters were sent to all properties within the 50 meters of the site, including inviting residents to an open house held on June the 25th, 2024, and attended by district staff. 9 neighbors participated in the open house, some from the same household, and the operator and her husband were also in attendance. Key concerns raised included traffic and safety, parking and pickup and drop off logistics, and then the neighborhood character and noise. The applicant has expressed a commitment to ongoing communication with neighbors and to addressing future concerns. To help minimize impact on Burton Place, families will be encouraged to use Berkeley Road and the adjacent pedestrian pathway to access the site. The center's handbook provided to all new clients will include guidance on using Berkeley for pickup and drop off, along with a map showing safe driving routes. On-site driveway parking will be available for those that access via Burton Place, and staggered drop-off and pickup times will be promoted to reduce traffic congestion. The final slide highlights that childcare is a vital component of a strong, resilient, and livable community. The district is committed to expanding access to high-quality childcare. In 2020, Council endorsed the Childcare Action Plan, which identified a need for 2,055 additional spaces by 2030. The Seymour Heights neighborhood and broader Seymour area were specifically identified as needing more spaces across all age groups. The proposed Wise Beans Childcare Center would contribute 12 new spaces, helping to meet that identified demand in the neighborhood. This proposal aligns with the council's broader objectives and supports the district's continued efforts to address childcare needs. So this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that Mayor or Council may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Branson. Next, we have the applicant or their representative coming up to speak. Come on up, have a seat, and you have 15 minutes to address the meeting.
Good evening, Mayor Little, members of council and city staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Ramon Gonzalez. I'm here on behalf of Wise Bean Childcare Center. I'll keep my remarks brief, to the point, and I welcome any questions or comments you may have following the presentation. Wise Bean Childcare is a licensed group care center dedicated to nurturing children from infancy to school age. Founded on a holistic play-based approach, Wise Bean promotes curiosity, independence, and growth in all areas of development. The center offers a safe, inclusive, engaging environment tailored to each child's need. Wise Bean was first licensed in July 18, 2023 to care for 8 children under 36 months in a group setting designed for infants and toddlers. Nazreen Shams, founder and director of Wise Bean Childcare, is a dedicated early childhood educator with over 35 years of experience. She holds a bachelor's degree in educational science, specializing in child development. Nazreen began her career in Iran, where she founded and operated a childcare center serving over 230 children for 25 years. After moving to Canada, she earned her ECE and infant toddler certificate with honors, along with certifications in first aids, CPR, and safe food handling. With over 11 years of experience in Canadian childcare, Nazreen held leadership roles such as program manager and supervisor, earning recognition for her experience in program development and commitment to quality care. Wise Being Childcare offers a play-based, child-centered curriculum that draws inspiration from three renowned educational philosophies. The first one's Waldorf, which encourages natural, sensory-rich environments and holistic learning. And the next one is Reggio Emilia, which emphasizes on child-led exploration, curiosity, and autonomy. And the third is Montessori, which focuses on hands-on learning, structured routines, and purposeful play. Children at Wise Being are provided with age-appropriate opportunities to explore, discover, and grow through daily activities that support physical, emotional, and social language and cognitive behaviors. Hours of operation, Wise Being's open from Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Closed on weekdays and all statutory holidays. And pickup and drop-offs are on a staggered basis, only accessible from Berkeley Road. For outdoor activities, there are two outdoor play areas located in the property, both of which can handle 12 kids. And there are parks in the area that they use for walks and activities, like Canyon Creek Park and Hogan's Pool Park. For the infant and toddler program, they have a staff ratio of 1:4. And for the infant program, they emphasize on biological rhythms like feeding, napping, diapering on demand. An enriched infant care program, which is more on sensory play, story time, music, outdoor walks, and dedicated rest times with individual cribs and mats for each infant. For the toddler program, they're more flexible play-based routine, free play, circle time, music and movement, outdoor exploration, arts, and sensory time. And then for early development in preparation for kindergarten, they have social, emotional skill building and group meals, structured rest time, and daily reflection. Sample daily schedule for the toddlers would be as the kids arrive, they start out with free play. As they settle down, they move on to art, sensory play, and other activities. After which they take a break for a snack and move on to circle time and change diapers if needed. And then they move on to the outdoor play, which is from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And after which they would have their lunch, story time, and their afternoon nap. And then back to outdoor play from 3:30 to 4:30. And then after that, they have circle time and other activities before pickup. The new preschool program will be from ages 30 months to 5 years old. Wise Being Childcare is expanding with a new preschool program for children aged 3 to 5, maintaining a 1:8 staff to child ratio. The program builds on Wise Being's nature-inspired play-based approach while introducing early literacy. The curriculum remains grounded on social emotional development, fostering creative and nurturing independent problem-solving skills as essential pillars to early learning. Key features for the program would be to prepare children for kindergarten through exploration and guided learning and play, support social skills and self-regulation and teamwork, and emphasize on outdoor play, storytelling, music, and hands-on learning. And continue a flexible schedule based on children's interest. This newly introduced program is thoughtfully designed to offer a seamless and continuous early learning experience, eliminating the need for families to seek out a separate program before kindergarten. Children can grow, learn, and prepare for school within one consistent, nurturing environment, while families benefit from the convenience and peace of mind that comes with having siblings attend the same school, building a stronger sense of community and continuity. It is important to note that according to the information published on the city website, the Seymour Heights region is identified as an underserved area for in the current childcare action plan for all ages. There were 11 attendees that participated in the open house, 2 of which were the operators themselves. The other 3 had some concerns. The key concerns were traffic and parking impacts on the cul-de-sac, safety considerations on Berkeley Road and Burton Place, potential for increased noise, complaint and resolution procedures. Traffic and safety concerns. Most of the concerns were with parents idling vehicles in the cul-de-sac, driveways being blocked in the cul-de-sac, concerns with too many cars and people in the cul-de-sac. To mitigate this problem, parents will be advised that all vehicle drop-offs will be directed to Berkeley Road only. Access to the daycare will be through the alleyway, ensuring that there is no cars or parents waiting in the cul-de-sac. To ensure that there is no disruptions in the cul-de-sac, no drop-offs will occur in Burton Place. All drop-offs will occur on Berkeley Road. And access to the daycare will be via alleyway. This information is provided to all parents during the onboarding process through the student handbook, which includes a map showing a safe driving route to the facility for consideration during pickups and drop-offs. Another concern was children waiting in the cul-de-sac unsupervised. Any child walking to school through Burton Place will be accompanied by a legal guardian, and any children walking on Burton Place as part of the school scheduled activity will be supervised by the appropriate number of teachers and assistants in compliance with the Vancouver Coastal Health regulations. Parking and safety features in Berkeley Road. There are over 200 meters on unrestricted parking from Carnation Street to Bendel Road. Aside from that, southbound traffic on Berkeley Road faces the rear yards of residential properties with no direct access to driveways. This provides an unobstructed sidewalk to the lane accessing the main entrance to the daycare. Noise concerns and complaints. Mitigating measures for this is that the property is surrounded by a 6-foot fence with a 6'6" hedge around the outdoor play area. Scheduled outdoor play times are limited to 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Drop-offs are on a staggered basis for pickups and drop-offs. And then limiting all drop-offs and pickups on Berkeley Road only. Complaint procedures. Open communication is encouraged to support ongoing dialogue. Formal complaints may be submitted in writing to Wise Being Childcare and should include the date, time, location, description, and impact of the incident or disruption. For unresolved or serious concerns, individuals may contact the district directly through the Report a Problem portal. Thank you for your time and consideration. We welcome any questions or feedback and look forward to work together in addressing any concerns. Thanks, sir.
For your comments, Mr. Gonzalez. Just before I get into the public speakers list, I did just want to express my apologies that we did not get the coverage on the notice ahead of time right, and unfortunately, it's caused a lot of people to have to come out for an additional evening. I know how valuable our evenings are, so I really appreciate everyone understanding that that mistake happened, and you have our sincere regrets over that. For tonight's meeting, we do have a speakers list that's been established, and so I'd like to welcome up the first speaker, which is Sahar Kitto. Joining us here in person. Welcome, come on up to the table. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Sure. I just, I haven't done a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Since I was 20, so can you show me what to do with this? Am I just putting it in?
Yeah, it's actually below the edge of the table as well. Like I usually put it right into the computer there, but.
Sure. I just thought it was important to show you guys some photos of what we're actually dealing with. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's your photos.
All right, great. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Branson. My name is Sahar, Sahar, last name Kitto, Kitto. I live within the 50 meters of Wise Beans Daycare, a facility who I respect and value very much, and people who I think are excellent. I'm a mother of 3 myself. I have 3 kids aged almost 4. One will be turning 6 tomorrow, and one just turned 8. So I value childcare. I understand it's limited, but I also firmly believe that public safety needs to be considered really heavily when discussing these things. First of all, the fact that the 50-meter bylaw wasn't respected and eliminated close to 50 different residences is the crux of the issue of why we're sitting here right now. We're not opposing daycare, especially not Wise Beans. We adore them. We're opposing the location. Burton Place doesn't have any sidewalks at all, not one. It is a established pedestrian path to and from places like Riverside Drive, who use the back paths and exit on Burton Place to go to Seymour Heights Elementary or to go continue on Berkeley to go north to access the Windsor High School. There are several things in Ms. Branson's report, including the fact that it was missed entirely, the crux of the issue, which is the location itself being unfit for this level of commercial daycare, where she has listed that this place doesn't affect any other school pickups or drop-offs. That's quoted in page 7 or something in her report. It does directly affect that, because if vehicles are coming off of Mount Seymour Parkway and they're traveling north up, they have nowhere to turn but their first turn, which is Carnation Street. Carnation Street is an active school zone. That's where Seymour Elementary School is. That's where everybody walks to school, all of the families. So these vehicles have to turn either left or right in order to access this by U-turn or whatever they need to do. We're asking that safety not be up for debate, but we're here again twice debating community safety. Bylaw 6724, section 8B2. This is what was violated since June 24th, 2024. It's confirmed that Ms. Branson sent out the notifications to 50 meters for the initial open house. So all of the homes didn't know. And then the next one was sent out on June 26th, which only arrived by post because it was standard mail 2 to 4 days. On Monday the 30th, it only gave us a minimum of 8 actual days. That's if you weren't out of town for Canada Day on the 1st, maybe you got that piece of mail on the Wednesday or Thursday. So how can people change their schedules? Is that really community? Are you really valuing what the community is saying if you can't respect the one thing the district needs to do to ask the community to come out? We're pleading with you. This is the area where we walk, where our children play. We don't understand how parking fits here. If two vehicles park side by side, they're falling short 0.32 feet. If they park in tandem, they're falling short 5.45 meters. The garage can accommodate two vehicles, but bylaw says that they need four. One for resident, one for staff, one for every 10 kids. So we don't see how that's a possibility. We don't understand how traffic will be regulated. The entire proposal uses language like encouraged, promote, report concerns, avoid peak hours. But what does that mean for my 3 kids walking to school? What does that mean for the high school students coming up from Riverside Drive? Are they safe? Is there a way to regulate this? Seymour Heights is right here on Carnation Street. The only way to access it, aside from going down Carnation, is using Belloc Street. It's the backdoor access to the school where all of the kindergarten kids go into for pickup and drop off. A parent has to be present. This shows exactly the path on Belloc where the kids have to go in and come out of. This is our street, 2 vehicles, and the kids on the right have nowhere to go. There's no sidewalk. A garbage truck, this car can't get through. She's a nurse. She has to wait for the garbage truck. She can't cross these corners because they're blind. Garbage day is once a week. This shows one person trying to go to work and one delivery and somebody using the cul-de-sac. Everybody has to be mindful. This is bare minimum traffic on Burton Place. I know I'm out of time and I really appreciate that you're letting me talk over. But I can't believe I have to sit here and beg that the people in our community are kept safe from traffic, that I have to show you where the school zones are.
If you'd like to come back for another 5 minutes, you are welcome to. I just need to run through the list first. So I will ask the room if anyone else would like to speak a second time, and we'll definitely get you on the list if you're interested. The next speaker I have is Jessica Dennis.
Hi. So my name
Joining us virtually. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi.
You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Great. Okay, so my name is Jessica Dennis, and I live at 939 Dollarton Highway in North Vancouver. I'm here to speak in full support of Wise Beans' proposed license expansion. So our son has been at Wise Beans since he was 9 months old, and he's now 2.5, and Wise Beans is like his second home. So it's not just a daycare to us, it's an extension of our family. Nazreen has created something incredibly special, and it's a safe and joyful place where our son is not only cared for and educated, but he's truly loved. And I drop him off every single morning and he runs through the door. So that peace of mind and trust is something that you cannot put a price on, especially as a working mom. So I'm a high school teacher just down the road at Lionsgate Christian Academy. And I also run a small business called Little Cooks Club. It's a kids cooking camp, and it supports youth in North Vancouver. So I work with children every single day. I see how much they need stability and connection and care, and Wise Beans offers that. But the reality is that these kinds of places are incredibly hard to find. So to date, I have called all the daycares in my local area, and I'm unable to get a spot for my son. So most waitlists are over a year long, and some centers have simply stopped accepting any kind of names because the demand is so overwhelming. What we do as a family, what do we do as a family with 2 working parents when we can't find childcare? So the only option would be for me to stop teaching. So there's a ripple effect on our community by forcing working parents to give up essential careers because of the lack of childcare available. I'd also like to address some of the concerns that are raised. First, about traffic and safety in the cul-de-sac. So this has been coming up over and over again, and we just heard about the traffic in the cul-de-sac. This is a non-issue because we've been explicitly told not to drive or park in the cul-de-sac, and we do not. We park on Berkeley Street as directed, and I was also told that my white SUV had been seen in the cul-de-sac doing pickup 2 times within the last, I'd say, year. And this is because a babysitter of ours misunderstood our directions And so when she went to go pick up our son, she went into the cul-de-sac. We were made aware of this right away by Nazreen, and it didn't happen again in the over 2 years that he's been there. So I've also used the cul-de-sac to park as a visitor. Because this isn't a public or isn't a private cul-de-sac, I've used the cul-de-sac to park as a visitor because we have friends in the cul-de-sac. So as for the blind corner that's been raised many times, if this is a long-standing concern, why hasn't action been taken years ago to demand signage, mirrors, or something to be put in place by the city to keep everybody safe? This is not a private entrance, like I said, so any members of the public, visitors, friends, city workers have access. So why are safety concerns being called for now? So I just want to be very clear again, daycare families do not use the cul-de-sac. We were told not to, and we follow that rule. So second is the concern about Berkeley Road being too fast or dangerous. Berkeley is a typical 2-lane road like many others that have schools and daycares on them. There's always been parking right out front, and parents are fully capable of safely taking their children in and out of cars onto the sidewalk and safely through an entrance off of Berkeley without disrupting traffic. If speeding is a concern, that's a broader traffic safety issue, not something that's caused by Wise Beans or the families who use it responsibly. And finally, the idea that Wise Beans is contributing to congestion on Berkeley. So pickups and drop-offs are naturally staggered during the school year. So I can explain how that works, because during the school year, I pick up and drop off my son at 8 a.m. Drop him off at 8, I pick him up at 3:30 because I'm a teacher. Other parents do pickups and drop-offs at different times because of their working schedules, whether it be 9 to 5 or 8 to 3, it's all different. I never see other parents. It's very rare for me to bump into other parents. So the idea of congestion just doesn't match the lived reality of the families who have done this for the last 2 years. So lastly, I just want to say that Nazreen has created something beautiful, not just for our children, but for this entire community. Expanding the license doesn't take anything away from the neighborhood. What it does is allow families in North Vancouver a trusted and nurturing environment at a time when stability and support mean everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Jessica Dennis. The next speaker I have is Daniel Eberhard.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Eberhard. I am Jessica Dennis's husband. I live at 2939 Darlington Highway as well. Thank you, council, and everybody for your time tonight. A few things, just the merits of this have been touched on, but I will just say this is a really wonderful daycare that means a great deal to us and our family. The folks who run it have been just so welcoming and professional, and it really is a huge part of our the way we operate and run our life. To play back what I've heard, the analysis meets all of the extensive criteria. The city's done a lot of work and research here to make sure that this fits. The city has also confirmed there is a clear need. One thing that I want to be sort of deliberate on is that we are not talking about a net new daycare. We are talking about marginal daycare or marginal children at an existing daycare. So when you're talking about issues like noise complaints, what you're actually talking about is that the noise with more kids is going to be significantly more disruptive than the noise of the existing kids, and all of these things are effectively cases of like marginal drop-offs and marginal noise. And so the fact that this already exists, I think, is a huge boon. And as it pertains to Burton, which the folks that are concerned about, I would say a few things. There are very few things that work if we prevent something from being built in the event that other people will then eventually go and break the rules. When we first came in and we never park in Burton anymore, we had that conversation. It was very straightforward. My wife alluded to 2 instances, but we're talking about 2 marginal cars in 18 months of being there. There are many elegant ways to deal with preventing people from getting on Burton Road that still allow this wonderful, important community service to thrive. You can use bubble mirrors, you can use speed bumps, you can use fines, you can kick people out of daycare if they don't follow the rules. Like I find it logically tough to follow that in the event that people break the rules is a good reason that we should not do something positive and beneficial for the community. And I think my plea or my ask of council in this regard is I do think part of being a community means compromise. And I do think part of being a healthy community means compromise. And as we think about um, how these communities grow, if we find, and the precedent that we set is that in the event that future rules are broken, we should therefore prevent the important community service for things that frankly have not occurred and are not occurring. I think it's going to be very difficult to build anything in the city of North Vancouver. And so my comment on this, in addition to just wanting to be here and support Nazarene, is I wanted to be here just as a citizen of North Vancouver. I think you can draw a pretty straight line from this in terms of like why there's a shortage for childcare, why it's difficult to build housing in Vancouver, why property prices are very expensive in Vancouver. And so at the risk of being slightly inflammatory, this is NIMBYism. Insofar as we all want these things, we all recognize that they're important parts of the community, but they are there are local reasons or maybe very isolated reasons why they are not beneficial to a very small percentage of people. I don't find those arguments consistent, and I worry about the precedent this sets for North Vancouver as a district. So I see the rest of my time. Thank you all very much for hearing me out, and this is it is also very wonderful to see these instances of democracy at work. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for your comments, Daniel Eberhard. The next speaker I have is Cindy Liu. Can you join us?
Yeah. Hello,
Sure.
everybody.
Hi
Can you
there.
guys hear me?
Yes, welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Okay. My name is Cindy Liu, Cindyliu. My approximate address is on Roslyn Boulevard. My daughter Olivia is currently attending Wise Beans Daycare. I'm here to express my full support for the proposed expansion. Olivia is 2.5 years old and has been attending Wise Beans for a year now. As she grows, it's important for her to stay in a familiar place with caregivers she trusts. This expansion would let her and children like her continue in a consistent environment during a very formative stage. As a working parent and a community health nurse, I depend on reliable daycare. If Olivia has to leave the daycare when she turns 3, it would be extremely difficult to find a new spot. Parents all know how limited and competitive daycare spaces are. When I was pregnant with my son, who's now turning 6, I often heard other parents say, "You better get on the daycare waitlist now." And they were not wrong. Even though I signed up early, I still find myself having to scramble a few months before I was due to return back to work. I had naively assumed that since I applied so far in advance, daycares would contact me as my requested enrollment date approached, but that did not happen. I had to take the initiative and call or email repeatedly, week after week. After 3 months of persistent outreach to various daycares, I finally found a spot, but it wasn't even full-time, which is what I needed. That made the transition back to work especially difficult. The uncertainty and stress of the whole process were overwhelming, and it's experience that far too many families are familiar with. Expanding access to established community-rooted care like Wise Beans is essential, but I understand that neighbors, especially those living on Burton Place, have concerns about increased traffic and safety in the cul-de-sac. I want to speak to that directly. From day one, Nazarene told all the parents that drop-off and pickup must be done from Berkeley Street, not at Burton Place. I have never once used a cul-de-sac. I've always parked on Berkeley, and every other parent I see during pickup or drop-offs have done the same. I've never seen parents walking down the path toward Burton Place. Nazarene told me there was one isolated incident when a parent mistakenly parked at the cul-de-sac, but she addressed it immediately, and it hasn't happened again. This shows how seriously she takes the rules and how responsive she is to the concerns of the neighborhood. From what I've seen, parents consistently respect those expectations. We all want to maintain a good relationship with both Nazarene and the community, not only out of consideration, but because we're truly grateful to have found a daycare spot in the first place, let alone one as wonderful as Wise Beans. None of us would knowingly go against the clear instructions Nazarene has given us. The traffic in the cul-de-sac have not been caused by this daycare, and they shouldn't stand in the way of the expansion. Some neighbors have raised safety concerns about parents doing drop-off and picking along Berkeley Street. But as parents, we're the ones most responsible for our children's safety. We will never put them in harm's way, whether it's on Berkeley or any other road. Therefore, we watch them closely, hold their hands, watch for traffic, and model safe behavior. It's also worth considering this proposal in light of the district's own 2020 Childcare Action Plan, which projected a need for over 2,000 additional childcare spaces by 2030. One of the biggest barriers to reaching that goal is finding suitable, affordable locations. Supporting licensed home-based childcare in residential areas, like what Wise Beans is proposing, is exactly the kind of solution the district should be endorsing. Wise Beans is not a large commercial center. It's a calm, home-based facility that's already operating responsibly within the community. If more spaces are needed, and they are, then it should be trusted providers like Nazrun who are given that opportunity. For all these reasons, I respectfully ask Council to approve this expansion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments, Cindy Lou. The next speaker I have is Jack Francis, joining us virtually, I believe. Jack Francis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Clearly. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Thank you. So my name is Jack Francis. I live on Violet Street in Blue Ridge, and I'm in full support of this proposal. Hopefully it's been well established by now by the other speakers that Nancy is an excellent childcare provider. She has a long-standing history working with children, and our personal experience having Nancy care for our son and our community has exceeded all of our expectations. We feel truly lucky that when our son went into daycare at 8 months old, we were able to get him into a place that we feel is safe and that the children do so well in. We're expecting our second child later this year, and we've already requested to Nancy that we get back on the wait list. It would be a real gift to our family and others in similar situations to have the siblings attend together and strengthen that community bond. Daycares which go up to age 5 say they prefer the longer age range because it mimics common age spreads found in the home, and children thrive in this. I want to speak now to the supply and demand issue we face in our community in relation to childcare. Firstly, supply is really, really low. This is well established by the number of spots that the city has outlined need to be created in the next few years. In Blue Ridge specifically, Little Orchard Daycare on Violet Street was a multi-age daycare and a cornerstone of the community for 30 years. It shut down at the end of June as the owner retired. Those spots are now gone. Another daycare just up the road on Berkeley has recently been approved for ages 3 to 5, pending them building out another bathroom. My understanding from parents is that they're unsure that the daycare has the funds to make such changes to finalize that new license. Those spots are therefore not guaranteed. Demand is also incredibly high and will increase even more severely in 2026 when the Baden Park development, which is just a couple blocks down the road, is completed and more than 300 families move in. Now, the topic of daycare waitlists has come up a couple of times already, but I do just want to speak to mine and my wife's experiences there as well. So after we secured a spot for our son at Wise Beans, we immediately began the next step to find a spot for him once he turns 3. So in 2023 and 2024, we tried to get on the wait list of all the local daycares that offer full hours and coverage over the summer. 3 daycares have since informed us that they're no longer running wait lists at all, and then most have not got back to us at all. The demand is so high that they're filling spots with siblings or by giving them to whoever happens to call up when they have a slot available. In a way that's understandable, as managing a waitlist is a lot of work, but where does that leave us families? All we can do is call the list of 10 to 15 local daycares in the lead up to our son turning 3, in the hopes that A, they answer the phone, and B, the timing is just right that they have a spot to offer. This is incredibly stressful, but we can think of no other option available to us at this time. Furthermore, childcare for the ages 3 to 5 group for working parents is distinctly underserved. Many programs that are pre-K, not daycare, are not accessible to working parents as they tend to run shorter hours and are also shut for 2 months over the summer and long periods at Christmas. Without owners like Nancy looking to fulfill demand in a community desperately in need of childcare, where else are these 1,000+ childcare spots going to come from? I now want to address the concerns raised on parking. So most days we walk to daycare along Bendale or Carnation. I know other parents who cycle. There is never any issue with school traffic, and there is a lighted crosswalk at Carnation and Berkeley. Now, when we do drive, we park on Berkeley, and there is always ample parking. We have never once been in the cul-de-sac except for trick-or-treating on Halloween. And to be clear, we're instructed on 3 separate times that access to Wise Beans is via the Berkeley walkway and not the cul-de-sac. So once when you come in for the daycare tour, a second time when you read and sign the daycare manual after you've accepted a spot, and a third time during the orientation week. It's actually a no-brainer to follow these instructions. It's just a few meters along the walkway from Berkeley, which is much more convenient than making 3 separate turns into the cul-de-sac, pulling a U-turn, and then 3 more turns to get back to Berkeley. We also live on Violet Street, which is a quiet cul-de-sac, and do understand how the thought of more cars could be frustrating. But honestly, based over our experiences over the last year and a half, this is an entirely moot point. An additional 12 children with staggered drop-offs is hardly going to affect traffic in the 10-hour window that the daycare is open, even if everyone drives. My wife and I both work full-time but start early. I drop our son off at 7:30 a.m. She typically picks him up between 3 and 4 p.m. And this shows that it can work, and it really does mitigate the already minimal proposed increase in traffic volume. So in conclusion, I hope the council takes into consideration the quality of owner that Nancy is, the severe supply and demand imbalance we face, and the minimal impact on traffic and parking. I think if we have a business owner who's providing an invaluable service to our community, has the capital and quite frankly the courage to invest in their business, to expand those services, we should be supporting that cause every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Jack Francis. Next speaker I have is Dennis Packer, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Thank you. Firstly, I'm not sure where Dennis comes from. My name is James Packer, and my address is 2441 Burton Place. I am the immediate next door neighbour to the daycare to the north. We have heard an awful lot from parents in the last meeting and this evening as to the quality of this daycare. We all agree it's an excellent daycare. We also hear how much this resource is needed by the community. Totally agree. We have our own grandchildren who have daycare needs. It is an extraordinarily needed service. That need does not make each application viable or the right place to have that particular daycare, and that's our concern. But what I would like to really speak to is why we have such a need for, or one of the reasons we have such a need for this service. And I believe that comes largely also from council's previous planning processes. We have such an incredible amount of home building now in North Vancouver. There's been much made of the new development coming on Seymour Boulevard with 300 new apartments. Why not, if we had more forethought in this process, maybe we would have been better having 298 new apartments and a purpose-built daycare for maybe 30 or 40 children, as they do in many other districts. Maybe also a doctor's surgery or a walk-in clinic, things that this district desperately needs. But what we don't get that foresight, and what we end up with is these fire-stop non-solutions to a self-created problem. And whatever decision council make on this application, they'll make their decision on traffic. I have no more to say about traffic. Everything's been said about that traffic and safety. And I guess council will make a decision based on the amount of risk they're prepared to accept. But in future planning, we need more foresight from our council in providing the services that go with the extraordinary amount of building that we have. This is a self-created problem. And really, it's also the council's problem that now we have resident pitted against resident, we have neighbour pitted against neighbour, we have parent pitted against resident. So my ask is, whatever your decision on this, please can we have some more foresight in the future so we don't end up here really in dispute with people we have no issue with. We agree 100% with everything they say. It just doesn't make it appropriate where it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Apologies for the name error. James Packer, thank you. The next speaker I have is Francine Johnson. Francine joining us virtually. Okay, just checking in. Francine Johnson, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can.
Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Council, for letting me speak. I just want to take note and speak of how great Nazarene and her team have been for our child over the last 2 years. Our child has been with them. Ever since she opened, our child has been flourishing with them. He's spoken so many words, like I can't tell you, she's just been so nurturing for our child and for all the other children at the daycare. Over the years, personally from ourselves, we're trekking from East Vancouver. We live right by the PNE. And so I just want to speak on the demand. And this is basically a BC problem, right? Not specifically, I know we're talking about the North Vancouver district, but this is a BC problem. I'm trekking from East Vancouver to North Vancouver every day, multiple times a day, just because there is such a demand for childcare. We don't have the resources. There are not enough facility and locations that accept a childcare affordability and have the government grants. Without these grants, then parents are stuck paying high prices. They're not vetted daycares. Some of the daycares are license not required. Some of them have no licensing. Some of them also don't even have the city approval, nor do they have sorry, can you guys, please? Thank you, sorry. Some of the daycares don't have approval from VCH. They don't have inspection reports. When parents are vetting daycares, we are looking at the VCH reports about the daycares. If the daycares have passed their approvals, if they have any issues, if there's any concerns, if the concerns have been addressed by the inspector and met approval, parents are looking at this. So when we find a daycare like Nazarene's that has passed every single approval, has no complaints, has no issues, and it's been years of this, we want to keep our child there. We trust them. I don't know if any of the neighbors or any other parents have looked at these reports and looked at how some of these daycares that are listed that are license not required, or maybe they do have licensing and had to be shut down, whether because of problems with the not passing their inspection, or the inspector came and found issues with their daycare. We don't want something like that. We're talking about child safety. And so having a daycare that has childcare affordability, is passing their inspections, is nurturing and loving, and has an educator, has more than 30 years of experience. The community can't afford to lose an amazing educator. Educators like this are not coming up anytime soon. People are changing careers. People are retiring. Speaking as a nurse for myself, I work in the community, and we're losing nurses. In the next 10 to 15 years, we will have all of the baby boomers who will be retiring, and our healthcare system will be depleted. We'll be running short. And then what will happen? It's going to be a ripple effect. As many of the other parents have spoken today, we can't afford to have a ripple effect within the community. We cannot afford to have people who have professional careers take time off or give up their careers because they need to raise their children. Some of us, speaking for myself personally and my husband, we don't have family here. Nazarene and her team are family to us. And so keeping our child with Nazarene and her team and keeping him there till age 5, till he begins kindergarten, is imperative for us. We need to keep that. Otherwise, we're just having to pick and choose. We've tried, we exhausted all measures. We've made spreadsheets. We've contacted all the daycares, everything. We've done our job. So it almost feels like a punishment to say, well, we don't want to approve this daycare because of the cul-de-sac issues. We're not going on the cul-de-sac. We're using Berkeley. And we know that already. Nazarene has made that explicitly clear to us over the years, never to ever, to any new parent. I personally have never seen anybody down there, so I cannot speak to him. And so before my time runs out, I just want to say that we cannot lose this educator. We need her in the community. She's creating jobs. She's a great business owner. She's great with kids. And she is the village that some of us have to pay for because we don't have that village, and that's okay. We're simply just trying to raise our kids just like the rest of the neighbors have raised their children over the years. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Francine Johnson. Next speaker I have is virtual participant Jeff Morningstar. Jeff, we keep sending you a notice to become a panelist. We need you to accept that or we won't be able to hear your comments. So when that pop-up comes up for saying we want you to be a panelist. Okay, there. I think that worked. Great, fantastic. Welcome, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Yes, you hear me?
I can. It's a little bit quiet, so I'm going to ask you to speak directly into the microphone, but welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. You can hear me, yes?
Yes, well enough, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I would like to say, can you turn the light on? Sorry. Good evening to everyone. Sorry, I just need my glasses.
I'm more than willing, Jeff, to go to the next speaker and come back to you if you need a couple minutes.
No. My name is Jeff Morningstar.
Okay.
And I live in Vancouver. And I see most of the complaints are about the parking. We all use Berkeley, and there is ample, safe pullover parking, about 10,000 feet of it. If you went to Google Maps right now, you would see that. I could park 10 city buses, I guarantee it. And as for the public pathway that we use for 20 feet, and yes, I said public pathway. In the 2 years that I've been going there, I've seen about 10 people. I think we all fit to be on that public pathway for 20 feet. It's like 10 feet wide. I've heard the word community 1,000 times. What is a community? A community is the people with a common interest living in a particular area. To me, that means the community they live together, they love together, and yes, we raise children together in the community. It takes a village to raise children. It would be a dream to me to have a licensed, trustworthy daycare on my cul-de-sac. There's a reason why the government has approved unlicensed daycares, because there's a strong need for daycares. I would like to say to everyone that is against this, their kids are already grown up, because if they had small children that needed daycare, they would be right here with me fighting for this. And everyone knows that's the truth. Let's be honest. We are all contributing to the community greatly. Everyone involved in this daycare Wise Beams, there's architects, teachers, accountants, nurses, and builders. We all need these services. The community needs all of these services. Hey, Liam, come here. Well, I was going to show you my son, Liam. He absolutely loves Wise Beams, and they are an extended, they are our family. He loves them. He's treated wonderful. Can you bring him here, please? And Wise Beams are at the top level of education. If Liam can stay at Wise Beams until he's 5, he will definitely be at a grade 1 or 2 level by the time he hits kindergarten. This is why we are fighting for our child to be the best he can be. This is Liam. Liam, do you want to see Nancy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course you do. Of course. Yeah, Nancy. Okay, yeah. to be the best he can be. Please don't take this away from me and my child and the community. We need this to raise well-rounded children. Thank you so very much to everyone for listening to this, and especially Wise Beans. If we were all like Nazarene, the world would be a better place. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you for your comments, Jeff Morningstar. The next speaker I have is Ed Bailey, joining us here in person. Happens. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there a way to clear this? Or you know what, I'll just leave it where it is, it's fine. A number of the things I was gonna raise have already been raised. I'm a resident in the neighborhood in the cul-de-sac. I spoke last time a couple of times in regards to child safety and the characterization of actually Berkeley. Watching the presentation, first things at the start here, the street has sidewalks on both sides of the street. It's got a yellow line down the middle of the line. Access to Blue Ridge, if you look on the map, there are only 2 major streets that go up there, and realistically, there's 1 major street. There's 2,100 people that live up there. They all come down Berkeley. So to say it's a minor street, or to say it's a insignificant street where there's not a lot of traffic, on my way here this evening, I had to wait 3 minutes to pull out of my cul-de-sac to actually get on to Berkeley because traffic was bumper to bumper at 4:30 in the evening. The next slide that caught my attention was in regards to noise and safety, or rather was in regards to noise. We're not overly concerned about the noise. What we're looking at here, and it's a wonderful daycare the way it is today. We're looking at going from 8 kids with the associated parents or drop off and pick up people to 20. As mentioned by one of the previous speakers, there is another daycare that is in the process right now of going to 20 kids. And we're aware of another daycare that's in the process of prepping to go to 20 kids. So that's 3 daycares that are all going to be using Berkeley that are going to go to 20 kids. So that's 60 more, or not 60, I guess it would be, it's a 250% increase on the same numbers. So 12 times 3, 36 more sets of people that are going to be coming and going. Totally understand the rules and regulations, and they read the Riot Act. They're not to come into Burton. It still happens. And when you increase by 2.5 times the number of what you've got today, it's going to happen more. That's just the nature of it. So in that regard, there is basically a community that was set up originally for a particular amount of traffic. You're now utilizing side streets, roundabout ways, directing traffic that it was never initially just set up to be able to manage. That's in regards to the traffic. One of the things that I actually find interesting that hasn't even been talked about is in regards to the fact that we back onto a wilderness area. I want to know what the wildfire preparedness is, because it regularly goes to an area of exceeding stage 3 and stage 4 fire alerts during the time that we're heading into right now. It rained this evening, but my front yard is brown because we're not able to water because we're in water restrictions in North Vancouver. There's not enough water to be able to maintain a yard. So the forest is getting drier and drier and drier. There are areas in that forest where kids party on the weekend. Quite often there's a police car parked by where the mailboxes are down at the bottom of the cul-de-sac because they're trying to catch kids who've been doing stuff that teenagers do when they're down in the bush. That being said, if there was a fire in the evening, or if something was started in the evening and we didn't know about it because it didn't actually turn into something, what is the actual plan of getting people out of there? What's the logistics of getting 20 kids, and if there's another daycare within the same area, 40 kids along with the workers and employees out of the area safely. You've just added a whole bunch of people that aren't supposed to be there because that's not what the community was designed for. As far as what the fire smart risk assessment is or the evaluation in the area, we don't have that information because it hasn't been provided by council. Most of the people who live in the neighborhood work. Obviously, I'm not the only person that's in this position. I've had very limited time to be able to gather my thoughts because I wasn't invited. If I was invited, I was probably traveling for work when they did the original assessment. I'd like to know if the original assessment was at 50 meters or if it included the entire cul-de-sac when the approval went through. I have a few other things I'd like to get into, but I'm going to run out of time here. So I can see it's flashing red already. So I'll just finish up for there and I'll come back on a second pass. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I will just say to your last comment, the approval hasn't happened yet. That'll happen at a future council meeting, and we'll do our best to direct you to that, the date of that meeting in future, and then council will deliberate it at that time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next speaker we have is Isabel McCusker. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Isabel McCusker. I live at 2461 Burton Place on the northwest corner of the Burton Place cul-de-sac. I am one of the homes that wasn't notified about this proposal 1 year ago, and I really feel that we are now playing catch up after being improperly left out of the process. I spoke last time and I won't repeat all of the traffic concerns that I previously raised, but I do have serious traffic concerns. Now that we've received the proper notification of the meeting and a second meeting is being held, I've had time to properly review the documents. And I want to raise that I believe there have been 3 significant oversights in the planner's report that I would like to draw attention to. First of all, in the presentations and in the report, there's a reference to the fact that there were only 9 residents at the original open house a year ago, and that several of them were from the same household. I can tell you that I most certainly would have been at that open house had I been aware, but I was not informed, even though I live only 5 houses away. So I feel like we are well into this process and now trying to draw back a bit. The impression that the planner's report leads is that there was community disinterest by the LOA tenants at that open house. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And I find it particularly jarring given that the notifications were only sent to 6 to 8 households. Another significant oversight I find in the planner's report is that it is completely silent on the intensity of traffic on the lower 2 blocks of Berkeley Avenue between Carnation and Mount Seymour Parkway. That is the most intense part of Berkeley Avenue. It sees a great deal of traffic. My understanding is that because it is one of the main egress access points into the area and egress, means that we are very limited in traffic calming options for that section of the road. So this proposal is talking about adding further intensity to that traffic. The report is also silent on access concerns for northbound parents who are coming from outside of Blue Ridge to access the daycare. It doesn't talk about the potential for improper U-turns in in the surrounding streets or on Berkeley itself. It is also silent on the additional pressure that's being added to the area without considering the daycare, just with the high density housing that is being built in the area with no accompanying infrastructure. So we already have a great influx of traffic coming to the immediate area. Finally, the report talks about there being no known conflicts with the Berkeley drop-off and with the drop-off plan. I disagree with this. There's talk about funneling traffic through Carnation, which is actually a school drop-off zone for Seymour Heights. So adding additional cars to that area is one of the proposed options. There's also direct conflict with all of the kids that walk to school through our street. because despite parents saying that they don't drop off, I regularly see parents dropping off on Burton, and we have a lot of pedestrian traffic on the Burton-Bendale cul-de-sac. The drop-off and pickup times also directly coincide with the times that we are all leaving for the workplace and coming home. Finally, I want to raise the point that with the late notification of this, I didn't find out until June 22nd through my neighbor that this was happening. I have had several interactions with parents at the daycare. I've discussed with them when I have been able to catch them about their speed on the street. I've only been able to intercept them twice when they've been inbound to drop off. Unfortunately, when I see them leaving, I'm not able to catch them. I work from home 2 out of 5 days a week, so I have a front row seat to the traffic coming in and the traffic coming out. 5 sets of parents spoke on the call and claimed to never use the cul-de-sac for drop-off, so I guess that leaves the other 3 who didn't speak. I don't know. Unfortunately, because I was not informed about this proposal, I didn't file official complaints to raise the issue. I have not been keeping track of license plates, but this is definitely an ongoing issue on our small street. So that brings me to the end of my time. I'm left hoping that the residents of Burton and Bendale will be heard. The 8-person daycare has already had a significant impact to the safety of our street, and 20 additional families is going to have an enormous impact to the general Lower Berkeley area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Isabel McCusker. Next speaker I have is Steve McCusker, joining us here in person. Welcome.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Steve McCusker. I also live at 2461 Burton Place. I live in the northwest corner of the cul-de-sac, 5 houses away from the proposed large 20-child daycare. I've lived in Blue Ridge for 21 years, 13 years at Burton Place. 13 years ago, my wife and I purposely moved within Blue Ridge to find a small cul-de-sac for 3 kids where we wanted a safe, quiet street with limited traffic for our family. Burton Place and Bendale are used by my daughters to walk to school at Windsor Secondary, as well as many other kids from the Riverside area that come up from the Carnation Steps and also down the trail, not to mention the Blue Ridge streets that are west of Berkeley and other surrounding areas. The Burton Bendale streets, my neighbor already noted that there's no sidewalks on those streets, are the pedestrian and student kid walking pathway. And as mentioned, this is due to the connecting trails that are providing access and proximity to the schools. Burton and Bendale are basically walking safe harbors for children that want to avoid Berkeley Street, which is very busy with speeding cars and is not pedestrian friendly when walking to Windsor School. The small cul-de-sac is also a friendly kid zone and a safe zone for many small children playing right on the street, including play strollers and run bikes on a daily basis. This small, narrow cul-de-sac with 2 scary blind corners would be a terribly unsafe and inappropriate place for a large 20-child daycare. So Council, regarding today's meeting, for starters, I received this meeting notification on Monday, June the 30th. This did not meet the 10 days bylaw requirements for today. That is just wrong. Furthermore, I only became aware of the actual daycare application on June the 22nd, 2 weeks ago through a neighbor, only because a small group of us had actually been notified in June 2024, over a year ago. This happened because proper bylaw protocols and communication was not carried out. The entire cul-de-sac is required to be notified, and most of us were left out. Council, due to this egregious error, I was denied due process. I was denied the rights under the bylaws to be consulted, and was denied and not able to be brought awareness to the different proposals. As a result of not being notified, I missed the June 2024 open house. I missed the opportunity to share my strenuous objections to this proposal. And these objections could have been expressed much earlier in the process if the bylaws had been carried out properly. I can assure you that if I knew about the meeting, I would have attended it. And I'm sure most of my neighbors from the Bendale, Burton cul-de-sac would have done the same. So Council, now I find myself, along with many of my neighbors, on my back foot, trying to oppose this process after the district already conducted its consultation on June the 21st open house, and after the community planners report was already written up. That's wrong, and that can't be allowed. Only 9 people from 3 different houses attended the open house. Only 8 homes, including the proposed daycare home itself, had received this notification. That is terribly wrong and should never have happened. The entire cul-de-sac is required and entitled to be notified under the bylaws. This existing daycare has already impacted our street and child safety. This proposed change to an even larger 20-child daycare on a small, narrow cul-de-sac would have significant detrimental impact to the quality and certainly detrimental impact to the safety of children on our small cul-de-sac. And it's not just the children that live on our street that I'm worried about. To my awareness, every single neighbor on the 2 streets object to this large 20-child daycare. The only actual residents in the entire Burton-Bendale community in favor of this unrealistically large 20-child daycare are the owners of who are proposing the daycare. So we have to think about that. The facts are that myself and many neighbors should have been notified over a year ago. And the idea of this large 20-child daycare could have gone ahead without any notification for over a year is just very disturbing. And what's even more appalling is that the actual proper process and bylaw requirements weren't even carried out correctly up until 2 weeks ago when the public meeting was finally passed on June the 24th. And now our neighborhood is suddenly facing these alarming concerns with a large 20-child daycare that's completely inappropriate for Burton Place and at the end of a very narrow cul-de-sac that's small in nature. In closing, I request council take into these considerations and our Burton-Bendale community asks that the proposal be completely reassessed in light of the dangerous traffic and serious safety concerns that have been raised regarding the impact of this proposed large 20-child daycare at the end of a small, narrow cul-de-sac. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
For your comments, Steve McCusker. The next speaker I have is Matthias Mbo. Are joining us virtually? This time we don't see a name that reflects that in the virtual names. And so if nobody here in the room is claiming that name, we're going to move on to the next speaker. Oh, I have Umar has raised your hand. Is that, yes. Umar, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Just want to be clear that are you Matthias Mbo in our list?
Yes, I use both names. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay, welcome. We can hear you clearly. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Perfect. So my name is Umar or Matthias Mbo. I live in 4323 Gallant Avenue in Deep Cove. And today I'm here as a parent and a proud member of this community to express my strong support for the proposed extensions of Wisebean Daycare. This daycare has been a wonderful place for my daughter. The staff are caring, the environment is nurturing, and the programming is thoughtful and enriching. It's the kind of place every parent hopes to find, but unfortunately, not every parent can. As many of you know, finding quality daycare in our city is incredibly difficult. The demand far exceeds the number of available spots. Families are often left on long wait lists or forced to make compromises that don't feel safe or supportive. That's why expanding Wisebean is just not a benefit, but it's a necessity. I also want to address some concerns that have been raised about traffic and safety. As a parent, I take this concern seriously. I want to emphasize that Wisebean has clear guidelines in place. Families are interested not to access the daycare through the cul-de-sac, but instead to park on Berkeley Road. And I and many other parents follow this rule responsibly. Regarding the issue of speeding in the area, I'd like to point out that parents dropping off at Wisebean are actually stopping at the daycare. We are not the ones speeding. This seems to be more of a broader traffic issue for the district to consider rather than something directly caused by the daycare. This extension would mean more families can access high quality care, more children can thrive in a safe and stimulating environment, and more parents can return to work with peace of mind. I urge you to support this proposal, not just for my family, but for the many others who are still searching for a place like this. Thank you for your time and your consideration, and for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you very much for your comments. The next speaker I have is Marilyn Noel. Virtual name. Again, I don't have a virtual name that matches that. Is there a virtual speaker claiming Marilyn Noel? Okay, so we're going to continue on with people who had not signed up, registered in advance. So would anybody else like to address the hearing a first time? And so for people who are joining virtually, just raise your virtual hand. I do see a virtual hand there. For people in the chamber, just raise your hand. If I don't see any callers, but do we, can we put the caller number back up on the screen just in case people are watching virtually and don't want to, they'd prefer to use a phone? We're going to get that number up, but at this point, I see virtual participant Graham Toady, and we're going to go to you next. Can you hear me, Graham? You are marked as muted in the system.
It just came up, and now I've been able to
There you
unmute.
go. Awesome. Welcome. I can hear you clearly. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Hopefully, I won't need 5 minutes. I did speak at the last meeting, and I would just like to add a name to support the comments that I've heard from James, from Sahar, from Isabel, from Steve. I believe that will tell you, I am one of the people who never received any notification living only 6 houses away of the open house, of the prior applications, of this application. And so Steve's comments rang very true to me. I would reiterate that it is a very small street, 20 feet wide, cars parked on either side, leaving 10 feet between them. Only one car can pass at a time. It is a very busy street. There are children who use it as a thoroughfare to their schools. It is inappropriate, in my opinion, to increase the number of students at this daycare from 8 to 20. So I will stop there, just adding my support. Thank you very much for everybody who turned out on behalf of the opposing side.
Thank you very much. Graham Toady. Okay. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak a first time? Again, virtual speakers, just raise your virtual hand. Okay, I see no one else for a first time, so I'm going to open up the floor to first or second time speakers. Sahar Kitto, come on up and have a seat in the center here. Just want to check in with staff. Have you received some questions from council that I can address shortly?
Through your worship, we have received one question from a member of council.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to this next speaker and then I may come back to staff just to get a clarification. So come on up.
Thank you.
Welcome to your second time speaking for Sahar Kitto. When you're comfortable, you have 5 more minutes.
Okay. I just want to quickly touch on a couple of things. Nobody's saying there isn't parking on Berkeley. There is a lot of parking on Berkeley. The question is, how do you access the parking on Berkeley? If you're traveling north and you need to access the south side of Berkeley, then what you actually need to be doing is turning onto Carnation Street, which is an active school zone, and making a U-turn, or turning left on Carnation Street and making a U-turn. Some of the parents who spoke before who attend Wise Beans Daycare, particularly noting the white SUV, they are the ones who have inappropriately used the cul-de-sac. And they're also on everybody's cameras on Carnation U-turning in their driveways. And since they've been made aware, we'll be addressing that on their own. Also, it was mentioned by them that their babysitter, there was a miscommunication with the babysitter about where to go. That's the exact problem. If the civic address is 2439 Burton Place, how many miscommunications could there be between 20 parents, 5 days a week, through 365 days a year? How many miscommunications can we allow on where to go and how to pick up? The other way to access the south side of Berkeley is to go north on Berkeley and make a left into Belloc Street. There's no sidewalks. It's narrow. It's a pedestrian path. It's the main access point for kindergarten drop-off and pickup that's set by School District 44. When you come in to Belloc, you go in through that small path, as you see. That's where kindergarten pickup and drop-off is. A parent has to be present the whole time for that, which means they need a place to park, which is Belloc. So you would be funneling the additional traffic through that street, out Shelley, left back down on Berkeley to access it. Otherwise, what we see regularly is U-turns on Berkeley or parents parking on the north side of the street and jaywalking with their kids to the north side in order to access the sidewalk and the pedestrian path that leads to the back door of the daycare. I have a letter here that's been formally submitted by a PAC member and the director of the North Shore Safety Council, who firmly opposes any amendments to this license that increase traffic to the area that would require these vehicles to already go through a sensitive area of Carnation or through Belloc, which they're actively working on making into a school zone. So that is a formal letter from PAC and from the director, one of the people on the North Shore Safety Committee who oppose any expansions. Our community is not talking about noise. Nobody is noisier on the street than me and my 3 kids. And yet the neighbors who I'm very close to bring birthday presents, Christmas flowers, cards, watch out for my kids, come to my house if my stove is making a clicking sound. We're not opposed to this for any other reason but safety. Where are we supposed to stand when the traffic flows in to shelter from the vehicles? Where are we supposed to do that? And if vehicles are meant to access the south side of Berkeley in order to park, how will the district regulate that? What is the district's plan in a formal regulation process to make sure, A, Burton Place isn't used because of lack of infrastructure, and B, if we're saying use Berkeley, how is the district going to regulate that? Cars pulling in and out like a loading zone, but with traffic flying down? There's no logic in that. It doesn't make any sense. We know there's parking on Berkeley, but how do you access it? We see daily living it that it's not being done properly. The other thing is I've talked to Vancouver Coastal Health and several other concessions have been made. For example, the yard shape is not exactly correct. So there's some plan in place for that. The other thing is 555 square feet of the daycare is located under an enclosed deck. And Vancouver Coastal Health said that it should be brought to the district's attention to make sure that an occupancy permit has already been provided for this space and that it was done properly. I don't have the expertise or the bandwidth for 3 kids at home to further go through that as well. So I encourage you, please, District Council, to consider these very real safety hazards.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Just going to check in with staff now. Have you had some questions submitted to you of a clarifying nature that you have responses to? And if you could read the question into the record and then your response, that would be appreciated, please.
Through your worship, yes, we have one question from a member of council seeking clarification on the license program or the proposed license program for the childcare, whether it is a group childcare facility or daycare or preschool services.
Okay.
And I will pass that on to Ms. Branson to respond.
Thank you. So through your worship to members of the council and public here, the proposal in front of us is for 12 spaces for group childcare. So those would be children under 36 months, and for 8 spaces for group childcare, so 30 months to school age. So it isn't a license for preschool. I think that the word preschool has been mentioned a few times in plain language. So that would be for the 30 months to school age that are often referred to as preschoolers. So that preschool age. But the license is group childcare. It would not be a license for preschool services.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions of a clarifying nature from council at this point?
Your worship, there are no further questions at this time.
Okay. So going back out to the room and the virtual room, we have. Okay, so we do have a virtual participant, spoke already once already, Jeff Morningstar, wishing to speak a second time. Jeff, we're going to need you to accept the notice to move over. There we go. Looks like you're over. Fantastic. Okay, second time speaker, Jeff Morningstar, followed by Daniel Eberhardt.
Perfect. As you can see, my shirt says "Every Child Matters." As my name is Jeff Morningstar, so we are Native. So you know, to be able to use that public path, that's the right of everyone. That's public. There's more than enough parking on Berkeley. This is, I find this absolutely insanely ridiculous that I have to fight to keep my child. Oh, sorry. I have to fight to keep my child in a highly educated daycare, where when he hits kindergarten, he's going to be at a grade 1, grade 2 level. This woman Nazareth is just so wonderful. I just find it ridiculous that I have to fight for this for the whole public, community. Community is supposed to raise children and love and laugh with everyone. Community is what Nazareth is. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. It's been mentioned a couple times, so I did just want to be clear that we're not talking about a reduction at the school. We're talking about either its current level or an expansion. And so, but a number of parents have mentioned that they're concerned that they're going to lose their space. That's between them and the operator, but we're not talking about a reduction in the spaces. We're talking about whether there's going to be an increase in the number of spaces. Just wanted to state that, just to clarify what we're contemplating. Next speaker that I have is Daniel Eberhardt, joining us virtually.
Thank you. Couple quick comments. So again, as we think about Berkeley, or excuse me, Burton Place, I struggle with this idea that this has been ruled out. It's been clearly stated that folks are not allowed to go there. And I think there's evidence of 2 use cases, both of which were our nanny, which we apologized for. And like, for sure, we own that. We also have friends on the street. We visit on the street. Everybody has friends on the street. And so I do just continue to struggle with this idea. And what I find logically very inconsistent from the folks who are against this proposal, you do get marginal traffic today. You get garbage trucks, you get wrong turns, you get friends visiting. If safety is such a concern for you, go to Rona and spend $75 and put up a bubble mirror, or play the city council independent of a daycare. Like, if these have been concerns for you for so long, I don't understand why this is attached to the daycare. Because again, you're talking about going from 8 kids to a marginal 12 kids. It's not a 20-person daycare. You already have an 8-person daycare. It is 12 marginal kids. And so if these safety concerns are so legitimate, which I understand, we're all parents, we all take our kids' safety very seriously. Why have you not gone to Rona and spent $75 on a bubble mirror? Like, there's known ways to deal with this stuff. There's speed bumps, there's fines, there's signs. You can put local traffic only signs. These are all resources that are available to you that do not mutually exclude somebody from expanding a daycare and providing an important service. Okay. As it pertains to the road, it's just categorically false that you have to take a U-turn. You can take Emerson and you can go on Carnation, and then you can go down Berkeley, and it's left, 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 and you don't have to do any U-turns, and you don't have to pull into anybody's parking lot if that's an issue. There are known, the fact that their speed, yeah, they are school zones because there's 1,200 kids with within 2 schools within a few kilometers of this place. So like, it's not going to be any noticeable difference to the marginal traffic. And of course there's school zones, and if we as parents respect and understand school zones. So the idea that like this road is not equipped to do this, or this community is not equipped to do this, communities change, populations grow, communities have to then adjust to those things. And I'm not, again, I'm not opposed to the claims that the parents are making. I'm just saying there are many more elegant solutions to the claims of child safety, and the claims that you can only get there by U-turning or doing dangerous things is just like patently false. And the reason that I'm here today is, again, because I think this is a wonderful service. I am a huge fan of Nazarene and the folks who have built this daycare. And I also just believe in this community and this community's ability to resolve these things collectively. And I think that requires compromise. I find the arguments like very logically inconsistent from the resistors. So I see the rest of my time. Again, thank you, and appreciate everybody hearing me out.
Thank you for your comments. Daniel Eberhardt. Would anybody else? Yes, I've got a few in house here now. All of a sudden, I've got 4 in house, so I'm going to go there first. Yeah. Come on up. And I'm trying to remember
James Packer.
James.
Yeah. Just very quickly, a couple of points I meant to make the first time round. You know, this is a very well-run, small 8-child daycare, and I think we all understand that some children do get on much better in a smaller daycare environment. We understand that. In support of parents who are so worried about losing their place for these children before they go to school, maybe a good compromise here is to raise the age limit so those parents who already have children in the daycare can keep them in the daycare rather than raising the number of children in the daycare.
Thank you very much for your comments. I believe were you a first-time speaker? So I'm going to get you to come on up. Thank you. Welcome. If you could lead off with your name and approximate address for the record, that'd be appreciated.
Sure. I'm Heather Thompson. I live at 2455 Mowat Place. I'm not on Burton. I back onto Sahar. She has lovely children. They make lots of noise, but that's a neighborhood and that's where we live. I don't think anyone has an issue with this daycare. I think it's well run. It hasn't bothered my house. The issue I have is that it is actually going to be a commercial business in a residential area. It does impact Mowat because we do have traffic going up Berkeley, especially during the school drop-off and pickup. It's insane with people turning off Carnation onto Berkeley in the morning. And you do get people doing U-turns. Carnation, when you head towards Mowat, can have cars parked on either side. It's very narrow to go down. So yes, I think it will make an impact. I'm a parent myself. My children are growing, but I know when you gotta get your kids to school, you're gonna take that turn into Burton. You're gonna race down that street because you gotta drop those kids off and you've gotta go to work. And I really empathize with parents, being one myself, but I also empathize with the people in Burton, and it will impact them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Next over here, Ed Bailey.
Can I just ask a yes or no question to the district city planner?
I'm happy to have you come up. You can speak a second time, but sorry, Steve, I have a question
for the city planner.
Okay.
Have you, like,
If I need you to sit in front of the microphone just so we can get it for the record, please.
Steve McCusker.
Okay, so just to be clear though, it is a public hearing, and so we're here to receive your feedback. And so if a member of council picks up your question and forwards it on to staff, great, we'll get it responded to. But it depends on the nature of the question.
It doesn't even have to be answered. I just want to ask it. I'm just wondering.
You're welcome to speak for 5 more minutes if you wish.
I'm wondering if the district city planner has actually been to Burton Place on foot for 30 seconds and walked around and seen the condensed parking, the width of the street, the length of the street, the cars parked on the street, and trying to calculate if it's actually feasible to have a large daycare like this? Or is it just someone that was done on graphs in the computer?
Thank you very much. You still have more time? Any more
No,
comments?
that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Answer this evening?
No, thank you very much. Is it Ed Bailey? Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Welcome. Come on up.
Hi, my name's Ed Bailey. I live in the cul-de-sac. I'm getting really frustrated listening to all the wonderful stories I'm hearing from the people who are transitory to the neighborhood, who come in, drop their kids off and leave, and then come in, pick their kids up and leave. They don't see what we see by living in the neighborhood. There are a number of families on Burton Place who have teenage kids who are now driving age. My kid's almost been hit trying to get out of the area by people coming in. There are blind corners. Yeah, we could put up bubble mirrors, but you know what? We put out signs, children playing in the street, and it gets ignored. We have other traffic issues as well in the neighborhood already, but you're talking about going from 8 to 20. Just looking it up on Google Maps, you're going to come into the cul-de-sac. I also mentioned earlier, and it never really came up again, one of the online speakers mentioned it as well. We know there are other daycares in the region. Just Googling it, you can find 8 daycares that are in the Seymour Heights area. At least 2 of them are going for increased numbers, raising their count from 8 to 20 that we're aware of. It's in the talks. Maybe there's no official paperwork yet with the planners, but we know it's going to happen, which means there's those extra vehicles that are going to be on that street. Yes, they could do the route around Carnation. The challenge there is the school actually was forced to put in that crosswalk because the traffic pattern is actually quite jammed already, and the danger to the kids that are going to the school up there on Carnation. There doesn't seem to be an interest in actually coming and walking our neighborhood. If I asked for a show of hands of the people in the room here that are on council that have actually been there, I got 1, 2 people. 2 people came to our neighborhood and looked at our neighborhood.
I used to do hockey drafts in the house in the corner, so
Okay.
I've been to the street, but
Yeah,
it's
okay.
not really actually relevant. We can make decisions throughout
No,
the district of North Vancouver.
and I totally
based on our
understand that.
knowledge of the general neighborhood. There isn't a requirement for any member of council to have specifically walked on that street at that time.
I get that.
Thank
I
you.
understand that position. However, when we're raising concerns about traffic on Berkeley, it's because we walked out and seen the parked cars that have been smoked by people coming down Berkeley out of control. We've seen the bicycle accidents where kids come down the street on their mountain bikes out of control. Car door opens, bang, kid hits the door. The safety concerns are for the children going to the daycare, the increased volume. It just seems to be falling on deaf ears from sitting in the bleachers here watching what's going on. I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm getting the wrong impression. They're a wonderful family. I have nothing against an 8-child daycare or home care with 8 kids. If a compromise, as mentioned, is reached in regards to, okay, we'll raise the age, let them stay until they start school. No problem with that. It's just the increased volume is the major concern that my wife and I see. And that's really all I have.
Thank you very much. Okay, would anybody else like to address the meeting a first or second time? Okay, would anybody else, I'll just check in, have any other questions come in? Okay, would anybody else like to address the meeting a first, second, or third time? And we do grant third time speaking opportunities so long as you haven't repeated yourself. And so far, I'd say that 2-time speakers haven't repeated themselves. Sahar Kito, come on up. Welcome for your third and final speaking time. You are welcome to speak for 5 minutes.
I just need a minute before you start the clock because it's very stressful. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is still up here? Okay. Thank you. All right. Last week, I called the Ombudsman of BC about the notification process that has been inconsistent since June 24th, 2024. I've also asked the corporate officers for some answers about who, in fact, decides on which part of the bylaw needs to be carried through. I haven't really received a response back from Ms. Shell, but she did confirm that while an open house is suggested, it is still facilitated formally by district staff who print and mail these invitations. And Ms. Branson's report specifically says that that has been done to the 50-meter radius. So specifically when people in the neighborhood are talking about not knowing for 1 year, that's because they were left out of that particular open house process. It also, I want to say that the communication with Wise Beans Daycare since they did that open house has been nil. We're a tight community, okay? We hang out on the street together. And we would have loved a knock on the door to say, hey, what do you think? How can we help you? Here's a phone number. Here's an email address that we're collecting what you're thinking and what you're saying, and here's how we're going to help you. But actually, if anything, and I adore Nasreen June, I love her. Honestly, I cannot believe that they have been completely absent on our street for the past month and a half. So what does that say to you about if there is a problem in the community? Who do we talk to? They've essentially gone missing for us, and it's such a shame because they're important people in our lives. And now, like Mr. Parker said, we're pitted against each other. And there's no reason why Ms. Branson shouldn't have known that from that initial open house. It was clear, even though not enough people came. When I contacted the Ombudsman of BC, they are very, very eager to investigate what's going on. Even though they are investigating, they suggested I reach Mr. David Stewart, who's out of town. I left him a voicemail. In his absence, I got a call today from a Mr. Dan Milburn, who equated all of these things to just a simple error. But it's not just a simple error. It's due process. It is exactly the basis of doing things lawfully. It's not just an error, okay? Just an error is letting your nanny know how to pick up your kid accidentally from the civic address the business license is given to. That's just a little error. But this isn't a little error. These are people's rights to safety. These are people's rights to speak up for themselves. So I'm waiting for, I suppose, David Stewart to reach me, and the Ombudsman of BC has called me multiple times. They're quite eager to move forward so they can fill in these kind of procedural holes in community planning and with the district. The other thing is what's on the screen. Okay, it took me a long time to figure this out. Numbers aren't my thing. If there's 4 parking spots required and 2 go in the garage, please tell me how 2 more vehicles can fit on that driveway. If they fit side by side, according to bylaw spaces, they're short 0.32 feet. If they're meant to go tandem, they fall short 5.45 feet. So I want to know in the community report where Ms. Branson says that zoning and bylaw have confirmed that the parking requirements are met, what is she referring to? Because in her email, she says to me that, I don't know the exact words because this is not my thing, but somewhere is it bylaw 10 or whatever it was, says that residential parking is met, but we're not talking about residential parking. We're talking about commercial parking, formal drop-off pickup area for 20 children. Does that fit? Can anybody give me an answer? I don't know who else to email. Who else can I talk to make sure that the 20 children entering and exiting this facility are doing so safely? Who else can I talk to make sure my 3 kids on the street are safe? Who else can I talk to make sure Ed's teenagers, when they're walking to school or leaving in their vehicles with their brand new N licenses, are safe? Who can I talk to when Isabel's daughter uses that space with her friends to walk to and from Windsor? Who can I talk to who can guarantee through regulation safety for our community? Safety is the only thing we're concerned about.
Thank you very much for your comments, Sahar Kito. Would anybody else like to address the meeting for a first, second, or third time? I'll double check in with staff. Have we received any additional questions from council? Okay, so this is going to be a little archaic, but I'm going to exhaust. Oh, I do see Jeff Morningstar, virtual hand. Move Jeff Morningstar over.
Hello.
Jeff Morningstar, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome. You have 5 more minutes to speak for your last time this evening.
Oh, okay, perfect. I mean, everybody's being safe, and everyone on Berkeley Place, everyone is parking on Berkeley. Maybe there was one mishap on the cul-de-sac because a nanny picked someone up and then she was Google mapping her address. But other than that, everyone's parking on Berkeley. And as you all know, you can check Google Maps right now. Like, you could park 10 city buses. There's more than enough parking. I think parking is a major issue in this whole thing, and I think it's ridiculous. Everyone can go on Google Maps right now at any time and see the street. There's more than enough parking for everyone. I don't think that should be an issue at all. I really appreciate and thank everyone for hearing us out. But this daycare is like, it's a gem. It's not something you find every day. Again, I will say, if Liam can stay there until 5 years old, he will be at a 2 grade level. Like, Nazrin is absolutely a wonderful educator, and this is the best place for my child. And yes, of course, I'm going to fight for the best place for my child, as every single one of these people here would do as well, to fight for the best place for their child. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you for your comments, Jeff Morningstar. Okay, would anybody else like to address the meeting a first, second, or third time? Lisa McCusker, I believe. Isabel McCusker, terribly sorry. The list is getting long here.
Just to
Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
go back to the original comment about the open house and the lack of notification, and that I believe 8 houses were notified about the open house 1 year ago, when in fact there should have been 70 residences notified. I really feel that the planner's report alluded to indifference on the part of the community by pointing out that only 9 people attended, and some of them were from multiple houses, and there is not community indifference. I would say that most people in the community that we have spoken to are opposed to this. Most of the people on the Burton-Bendale cul-de-sac, and it is not due to it being a daycare, it is purely due to the lack of infrastructure to support the additional traffic that will come with the daycare. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Isabel McCusker. Okay, would anybody else like to address the meeting a first, second, or third time? I see no further virtual hands. Double check with staff, no additional questions from council. So I'm going to exhaust the speakers list. It's going to look a little archaic, but I'm going to ask 3 times in a row. Would anybody else like to address the meeting? Would anybody else like to address the meeting for a first, second, or third time? Would anybody else, for a third and final time, would anybody else like to address the meeting for a first, second, or third time? Okay, hearing none, I believe we've exhausted the speakers list for this evening's meeting. I am looking to council for a motion. Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I move this public meeting be closed and the matter be referred back to the next available regular meeting of council for decision.
I'll be just one quite slight change, which is we don't close this public meeting. It's not a public hearing, but yes, the matter will be referred to public meeting for council's deliberations. And that's been moved by Councillor Hanson, second by Councillor Ma, and I see Councillor Forbes is here too. So prepared to call the question on that. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Checking in with the clerk, do you have a proposed date for when that would be brought back for council's deliberations?
This is anticipated to come back on July 21st.
July 21st. So that's not set in stone. We do need you to check the agendas leading up to it. Sometimes things do get bumped around because of how busy a particular agenda gets. But our intent is to have this returned for council's deliberations on July 21st. And so that's it. We've completed the business of this evening's meeting. So I'll accept adjournment. Thank you, Councillor Hanson. And just wanted to say thank you very much for everybody for their participation for this evening's public meeting. Look forward to council's deliberations in the matter, hopefully on July 21st. Have a great evening. Good night.